The draft happens 2 weeks from tonight. There is your top 16. We're going to focus on the top 5 this segment. Myles and I are going to give you our thoughts, our hunches, our guesses as to who the top 5 picks will be. And here's a shock. We both think it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, number 1 to the Jaguars. We both think it's going to be Zach Wilson, number 2 to the New York Jets. That's not even worth discussing. Myles, how big of a shock would it be for you if the Jets don't take Zach Wilson at 2?
That'd be huge. I think it would be a huge shock because I think based on everything that we've heard and all the reporting that there's been out of New York, I mean, BYU itself and Steve Young talking about different stuff, it just seems like that is definitely going to be the pick. So if it's not, I mean, kudos to the Jets for coming up with this big old smokescreen. And I also feel like the 49ers wouldn't have traded up to number 3 overall if they didn't know or have at least a very, very, very good idea who the Jets were going to pick at number 2 overall. So if it's not Zach Wilson, I will maybe fall out of my chair, man. I think that would be very surprising.
All right, let's pivot then to number 3, the San Francisco 49ers, who made that trade up 3 weeks ago tomorrow. Who do you think they will take? As of right now, with 2 weeks to go, plenty of time to change your mind. But right now, if they were putting a name on the card, what name do you think it would be?
Okay, I think that you probably influenced me on this because earlier today you were talking about the fact that the betting odds have changed. But I also saw a picture yesterday of Kyle Shanahan at Justin Fields' Pro Day, and I recognized the look on his face, and he was just so smitten. He just looks smitten with Justin Fields, and I've had that look on my face a time or two as well. So I'm going to say Justin Fields at number 3 overall to the San Francisco 49ers. I'm bucking the trend. I'm going with the betting people.
Are you talking about the photo where Shanahan was masked down talking to Justin Fields? Is that what you're talking about?
Look at that.
There it is. Put your mask up, Kyle.
I mean,
maybe
first of all, yes.
Kyle's... Hey, wait, let's go next level. Kyle's trying to give Justin Fields COVID so that whoever drafts him is going to get a guy who's got COVID. We're at the point. Are we not at the point in the pandemic where we can have a little bit of a laugh? If you're not going to wear your mask, you set yourself up for that. All right. The betting odds have changed, and Mac Jones was the favorite to be number 3 overall up until just about earlier today. Pete Demolitis sent me the points bet odds. Justin Fields is now minus 125 to be the 3rd overall pick. Mac Jones plus 100 and Trey Lance plus 450. Jones had been the overwhelming favorite. Now it's Fields. And one of the things I can't tell, Myles, how much of what's going on when you hear this chatter, maybe it's not Jones, maybe it's not Jones. I feel like some of it is NFL Network, ESPN, deliberately making things interesting. If you lock in too much on one guy, now we got the first 3 picks. We got the first hour of the draft. There's no reason to tune in. We know who the first 3 picks are going to be. Whether there is true uncertainty or not, it's influenced the betting markets. And the thing that I've said all along, if you're the 49ers and you make that trade, you give up 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick for that guy. If you don't have a pretty damn good idea who that guy is, just the idea that, well, we're going to give up all this and we'll figure it out later who we're going to take. I feel like they knew when they made the move, and it's a process of confirmation, not elimination. So I'm going to stick with Jones, just because you said Fields. But it's not going to surprise me now if it is Fields. And there were people who thought it was Lance. Now Lance is plus 450. Yeah. So maybe it'll end up being Trey Lance. But it is going to be a quarterback. That's the one thing we know. We just don't know which one. All right, so you got Fields at 3. What do the Falcons do at 4?
I think that the Falcons would then take Trey Lance because then they set themselves up for a quarterback of the future, and you can then let him get, a little seasoning behind Matt Ryan, who's still your quarterback of the present. Because, look, they're going to have Matt Ryan, especially after restructuring that contract, for another year. It just would make too much sense for them to hold on to Matt Ryan. And, the reports have been that Arthur Blank still thinks that Matt Ryan has something left in the tank. So I think it would make sense if they get a guy like Trey Lance, somebody who has not played as much football, as much college football as some of these other guys who are available at the QB position, and then you allow him to really come in and learn the system, really start to get comfortable. Maybe you start wanting to play him in 2022, but I think by 2023 you feel really comfortable, you feel really good, and you got yourself a guy.
See, if the Falcons have Mac Jones and Trey Lance available to them at 4, I think at that point the chance of trading down goes up, because I could see one of these other teams that really want Mac Jones that assume he's going to be gone. Why are you shaking your head?
Because that wasn't the game. That wasn't the game.
I'm just saying, no, I'm not saying you should have said that. I'm not saying you should have said that. I'm just saying I'd be intrigued by the possibility. I'm not finding fault with your pick. I'd be intrigued by the possibility of the Falcons trading out of that spot and someone offering them something that they can't refuse to come up and get Mac Jones. I think the Falcons, I'll agree with you that, well, you know what? Let's make it interesting. I'll say they'll go Kyle Pitts.
Ooh.
I think they'll go Kyle Pitts. Best non-quarterback in the draft. A guy who really should be a receiver. He's huge. He's fast. He's going to be used like a receiver. He may be a better version of Jimmy Graham, frankly, by the time it's all said and done. And that's a high bar, because when he was at his best, Jimmy Graham was one of the best pass-catching tight ends we've ever seen. So I'll go Kyle Pitts to make it interesting. A guy they're going to draft and use, not a guy they're going to draft and develop.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I like Kyle Pitts too, but I think that he also, if you're going to pick him there, he basically can develop into a Julio Jones replacement as your top guy. Because after Julio Jones last year with all those issues with the hamstring, we don't really know exactly what Julio Jones is going to be in 2021, in 2022. So I think that's a good pick to set them up going forward on offense too.
Okay, pick 5, Cincinnati Bengals. Who do you have?
I think they've got to go with Sewell, left tackle out of Oregon. I think especially because Joe Burrow got hurt, they have to find a replacement that's really going to stick there for Andrew Whitworth, who they have basically been trying to replace since the end of the 2016 season when he then went and signed with the Rams. He's somebody who plays with tenacity at left tackle. And I just feel like if you are the Bengals and you get somebody like Sewell at left tackle, you know you've got your QB, you can fill in around in different spots. But that is a guy who is such a good athlete. He's so strong. I mean, he talks about, coming in and hitting guys with bad intentions. That's exactly what you want as a left tackle. And especially, like I said, after Joe Burrow got hurt, you want to make sure that he is as protected as possible going forward.
Got to do it. Penny Sewell, but an opportunity to trade down, I believe. Whether it's your scenario, if Mac Jones is still there, my scenario, if Trey Lance is still there, Bengals very conservative when it comes to making moves like that. They just as soon take the guy and not play the game that maybe we wouldn't get him if we go down a few spots, but they could get more lottery tickets. And Myles, one of my big beliefs when it comes to the draft, you're always better off having more lottery tickets. More lottery tickets, more opportunities. You're going to scratch them off, and you're going to get yourself a winner. So that's something that I think they should consider, and they should be working the phones, and they shouldn't be stubborn about that. Hey, go back to last year. They were bound and determined not to trade out of that top spot no matter what the Miami Dolphins offered. Well, you know what? If you'd have taken the offer and gone to 5, you'd have gotten a bunch of extra stuff, and you could have had Justin Herbert. And you can't say you're going to be in a worse spot if that ultimately happened.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.